I guess the year hasn't even come yet, and we're getting those messages in NXT UK. What's up, everybody? It's your boy Flobo Boyce. You are locked into Draped in Gold, your one-stop shop for NXT and NXT UK content. Do I say the award-winning? That's right there. Right there. There you go. The award-winning Draped in Gold. My colleague Jack Farmer is not here again this week. In fact, if you got some following on Twitter, you should at Real Jack Farmer across social media. He's playing Escape from the Pacific Northwest. Apparently, there was some weather issues. There's been craziness over there, so he's basically having a little bit of a drill break, but that's okay. I'm sitting here in Los Angeles getting soaked, sipping some of the good coffee. Going to wrap with you for the next 20 minutes or so about what's happening on NXT 2.0 and NXT UK. Frankly, NXT UK, another clip show, but it's all good. What up, Kirsten? What up? Thank you so much for rolling through on Draped in Gold. So we're going to have a little time. Like last week, we're doing the top 10 countdown because frankly, I am not here to sit there and banter with you. What up, Charlene? About what you think you should like about matches. I'm going to tell you about things I enjoy. And after that, you can have such a good old time. As for me, I'm not sure how I'm going to celebrate the holiday. Probably keep myself inside because there's variants running rampant in that thing. Happy New Year, Charlene. Happy New Year to you and yours. But let's go through it. The top 10 moments of NXT 2.0 and NXT UK this week. You guys don't have the Peacock, you should get it so you can go back and check out NXT UK. It's a show that I will fight to the death. I'll plant a flag. The best, tightest wrestling program on the planet. Let's get into it. Number 10, this one comes with NXT 2.0, and that is Boa. Boa's somebody I've always been a fan of, and now he has somehow absorbed Tian Shaw. It's not really clear what's going on with him. But every time I think he's pretty much done, he makes himself that much more important. Solo Sikoa was in the wrong place at the wrong time, drawing a match from Santos Escobar, but Solo Sikoa got the win. So here's a guy everyone knows. We love Solo, and his next challenge is someone who's kind of mystical. I like Boa. I like his size. I like his strength. I like everything about him. But this might be his biggest challenge yet. This might be an opportunity for him to really show he deserves to be in the 2.0 roster. Charlene, a little off topic, but she says she's supposed to be the Arizona Bowl for the Barstool events, but my plans got canceled. Yeah, it's kind of the world we're living in. I'm inside with this science project type beard. I haven't got to the barber this week because in Los Angeles, I'm sure you know, California's rates of infections are going all through the roof. But I think that here or there, we watch wrestling to rid ourselves of what's going on in the world around us just a little bit. Number 9, Odyssey Jones. Here is someone I thought they're going to get the rocket ship strapped to his back. Here is someone that has the energy, the size, the strength. He can really, really go. It's an unfair comparison. The wrestling Twitter says, and they compare him to Keith Lee. I think Odyssey Jones is valuable in a bunch of different ways, even though he still kind of looks like that guy from Virtua Fighter, if you know what I mean. Jeffrey, right? So here's someone that made a bit of a reappearance. I have faith in him. It's 2022. We've already saw the first crop of new characters in 2.0. We saw the first crop of characters that are breaking out. I'm talking about your Cora Jades. I'm talking about your Tony D'Angelos. I'm talking about even your Joe Gacy's. These are the ones that at 3 or 4 months ago, I had no idea who they are, but now they're pretty much the pillars and backbones of that brand. What up, Johan? This is Draped to Go, baby. But Odyssey Jones was someone that I thought would be in that group, but has kind of been hanging out on 205 Live, kind of doing his own thing. But if I had to predict in 2022, that's the one you have to watch. Let me know in the chat below. Again, Draped and Go, first time listening, first time watching. Thank you so much. Welcome. Your one-stop shop for NXT, NXT UK continent from here across the pond. My colleague Jack Farmer's out there fighting ice sheets and rain and all crazy bad weather in the Pacific Northwest. For me, top 8 moment this week. The North American Championship will be unified with the Cruiserweight title at New Year's Eve, and the contract signed did not disappoint. Yeah, it was kind of cheesy with Malcolm Bivens trying to translate, what that means. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Trick Williams mumbles. Doesn't matter where you're from or what shade you have. Trick Williams can mumble. But I will tell you one thing. This was the most complete Trick Williams performance I have seen ever. I'm a huge fan of the guy. But he's warmed up to me. His comedic chops in the House of Horrors this year, being the heavy for Carmelo Hayes, he's getting better week by week. This is the first time Trick cut a promo, and I felt it. I may have understood anything he said, but I'm totally with it. Will 5-star, he says, what are your thoughts about the news that came out yesterday? I need you to elaborate. I'm assuming Tony Storm, but I'm not sure what you mean. But Trick Williams had an opportunity here to really be the side character for that group. He came through. This match means a lot. Carmelo Hayes has that blue chipper tagged. Your boy Roderick Strong looks like a whole new person and Diamond Mine. The match itself is going to slap. It's going to steal New Year's Evil next week. And I'm hoping and praying Carmelo takes the championship. I know that kind of stops Diamond Mine's momentum, because even though the Creed brothers are tough and Ivy Nile is tough, they've only really won matches on 205 Live. But I really think Carmelo will be the one to really push this into a new era. Lamb says Trick Williams is gold. Hopefully we get Carmelo Loomis next for the title. Yeah, it's kind of a curious case of Dexter Loomis with his various injuries and things and illnesses that prevents him from having a regular appearance. I know it's hard to develop a character that does not talk, and you already gave him a wife character in Indy Hartwell. So it's kind of like, well, what's going to be the next for Dexter Loomis? But yeah, Dexter Loomis is another person. I think he's like NXT 1.5. He wasn't quite the indie-fed NXT of NXT Prime, but he had just enough of that old school magic of him before the 2.0 reboot. So we're going to have ourselves a banger of the match. And so, yes, thanks so much for joining us. If you got something in the questions in the comments and in the chat below, I'll talk to you, because frankly, there's no Jack Farmer here to distract me. So, Will 5-star talking about Toni Storm. She says, yes, I can't believe she asked for her release. She's going to go for the title. Well, it's like this. I haven't worked in professional wrestling myself in about 10 years. For those who don't know me, in championship wrestling from Hollywood and even Mach 1 wrestling, rest in peace, John Ian, I was a ring announcer. I was a commentator. I work some of the backstage segments. Wrestling is a performance art. I know fans have expectations. I know people think, hey, you should do this. You should go here. Wrestlers have their own goals in mind, but they're also performing. And so you may do a role very well, but you may want to do a different kind of role. And that could be, the stage can be different. For example, William Peterson, famous actor, was in Manhunt. He was Gil Grissom on CSI. I think he did CSI for like a decade and said, I want to go back to Broadway. And you could argue that CSI was the biggest show on the planet at the time. And he walked away to do Broadway. Why? Different set of muscles. So I don't want to speculate as to why Toni Storm asked for her release. But I think if you are a performer, you have a right to say, I want to try something new, or I want to see something that works better for me. So that's just the way it is. I don't blame anyone, especially if it was mutual, right? It'd be one thing if she wanted to leave and she wasn't allowed to leave, or she got released against her will. Not against her will, you know what I'm saying. But if she asked for release and got it, she obviously has a plan for her career and wants to do something that pursues her. Can't knock that for that. Number 7 this week, Andre Chase. Now, I was looking for this Brian Kendrick match, man. I wanted to see Brian Kendrick versus Harlan. It was going to be dope. But Andre Chase came out in a stupid sweatshirt. Because really, where do you get giant sweatshirts with Chase U on it? I guess you have to make them in the basement somewhere. But he did a whole teachable moment thing. And I think if you listen closely, it could be piped in or not, but you listen closely, the crowd actually got into it. I don't know about you, but we do need comedic heels in the sport. And I know some serious wrestling promotions don't do that. It is a very thankless role. People forget about the 3i era of Kurt Angle. But it's or Santino Marella being the best Intercontinental Champion, but it's important. And Andre Chase, even Cameron Grimes in that role for a while. But Andre Chase is somebody that I didn't really think much of, but doing this now, getting a little bit of a swell, even despite defeat, is a thing Barry Horowitzes are made of. So I don't know. Lamb says Andre Chase sweatshirt is cool. Could wear one, Flobo. No, because I have a shirt calling Chase U, I'd probably be arrested or locked away somewhere. So I don't know. Will 5-star, typically when someone asks us for release and it was mutually agreed upon, the door is usually open for a return. So I do think there's some good terms, but again, I am just speculating. I watch wrestling. I'm on a wrestling podcast. I haven't worked in wrestling in over a decade, but that's just the way it is. But yes, I ask you guys in the chat watching this on YouTube, on Twitter, on Facebook, and on Twitch. Is Andre Chase starting to work, or am I just slow on the take? Is this guy the next big thing? Number 6, Yasboa. Now, Pretty Deadly, talk about things that are working. Oh my goodness me. Now, when I saw the Dandy Highwaymen, when I saw the Bedazzled Stallions, I, like many of you, were skeptical. Oh, I thought, oh, this is going to be what I was talking about. The thankless comedic heel role. But these guys can go, and these guys are huge. They're physically large. I didn't realize how big these guys are. And on this week, NXT UK hosted the New Year's edition of the Best of NXT UK. You can't imagine the kind of year they had. They beat Gallus, and even though Gallus has slid tremendously since that match, that was really the first surprise. And they carried those championships for a long while, longer than I gave them credit for. They're entertaining. They're charismatic. For some reason, fans of this show wants Jack and I to dress like them, which is kind of weird because I don't have any hair to put in the ponytail. But to say this, man, the Pretty Deadly has done so much for that brand. Pretty Deadly has done so much for that division, and they're just getting started. They're just getting started. And I'll talk about that a little bit more later on. Let me know what you guys feel in this top 10 list so far. We got through 6, and now it's time for the top 5 moments for me. And the reason why I stopped this, because I know I'm going to get a lot of hate for this. Number 5, Tiffany Stratton debuts. On this show, Draped and Go, we talked about the NXT Women's Division. And depending on the week and iteration of NXT, we say this is either the best women's division on the planet or we've seen better days. So we've seen the first crop of women come through. Cora Jade is looking to be a star. Whether or not you saw War Games or not, she's positioned to put herself to be potentially the next NXT Women's Champion. Will it happen? Not so sure. I think she will, but not so sure. But Tiffany Stratton was the first long-form, quote-unquote, vignette debut we saw in NXT 2.0 in the women's division. It was like, okay, it looks shades of Frankie Monet. There were shades of Tiffany Terrell. There were just shades of that Zaya Brookside new character. What is Tiffany Stratton going to be? So we got it. We got the match. The match itself wasn't my favorite. Let's be real. It wasn't my favorite. I personally feel like she didn't feel sure who Tiffany Stratton was, which is an opportunity. My colleague Jack Farmer is a man who says buy the dip. And I'm buying the stock right now because once it begins to click for her, it may click for all of us. And this may be the kind of character we were looking for in Frankie Monet. Let me stop right there. Not knocking Taya Valkyrie. Taya Valkyrie is elite. She's been doing it for a long time. I'm not knocking that. But I can never tell you who Frankie Monet was. I can never tell you what Frankie Monet was different than Taya Valkyrie. Tiffany Stratton may do that. Needs a new finisher, though. Not sure if that STO was the most cleanest thing I've seen. Not here to knock anyone because, again, I am not myself a wrestler. Oh, the chat's blowing up. Yeah, man. Tiffany, her song Insatiable was on my running playlist. Definitely a Zaya Brookside. I'm going to talk to Daddy or whatever. And yes, we'll give one more Sablé check for the boy Pretty Deadly. And, Dylan actually raises a good question. Will we see Daddy? I hope so. That'd be pretty cool to see Daddy just backstage or in the ring, making deals, giving her opportunities. But look, we all want to know in this era of hardship, in this generation being worse off than the generation before us, someone who already has it, someone who already seems put together is a natural heel response. MJF doesn't have to say anything. We go, this guy's been wearing a Burberry scarf. I can't even afford that. Boo. I think it can work. I can think it can work in that division because it's something that's sorely missing. We don't like Mandy Rose because she's better than you. Great. We don't like Last Legend. Well, I kind of do. But in theory, she's a heel because she is loud in your face. But here's somebody who just has money and not in a cool, goofy Cameron Grimes way. Just someone that says, I am better with you with this money. This is what we need. This is what we're talking about. So we're getting more at Tony Storm chatter in the chat. If you're on that Facebook or YouTube, join the chat, man. Let me know what you think as you head into the top 4 of today's Draped and Gold. Number 4, Superman Stone. Last week we talked about this right here in the show. Good thing. Von Wagner, tall, strong, looks like he's going to ride a horse after this. Not clicking with the audience. The boos I thought Von Wagner would elicit, Grayson Waller's getting. The cheers I thought he would get, Tony Angel's getting. And so I'm looking at Robert Stone. I'm just doing the whole scatter report. I go, Suit Man Stone, make a decision. Because frankly, to me, it's a problem that when Von Wagner has a match, I'm wondering, what's Robert Stone thinking? I think he should sign him. I think that Von Wagner has shown that he can go in the ring as far as looking imposing. He can go in the ring as far as having a match. Not the most polished guy out there, but he's out there hurting people with overhand strikes and chops. And frankly, Hulk Hogan wasn't the best wrestler, but that guy became a sensation. Not to compare it to, I'm just saying wrestling is a lot of different things to a lot of different people. Not everyone needs to do a burning hammer or Falcon Arrow or whatever. But I want Robert Stone to be Von Wagner's mouthpiece. Why? Because Robert Stone, it works both for both men. Robert Stone has been a joke as far as managerial prospects are concerned. His clients have not typically done well. And on the other side, Von Wagner has nowhere to go after the Kyle O'Reilly thing. And Kyle O'Reilly gave him the world. Kyle O'Reilly gave him everything he needed, the tools he needed at Kyle O'Reilly on the way out. So I want this alliance to happen. Robert Stone should be the guy. If he pulls the trigger, it has to be soon. And if he doesn't pull the trigger, if he doesn't sign Von Wagner, then he needs to come up with his own Von Wagner opponent analog to fight him. Because him coming out every week is giving me hardcore Santos Escobar, Electra Lopez, Zion Quinn vibes, which I'm not even sure what that is about anymore. Does Zion Quinn want to rule Legado? Does he want to date Electra? Does Electra want to bring him in the group? Does Electra want to leave the group to be with Zion? I don't know. Anyway, don't be like that, Robert Stone. Either sign Von or find someone to fight him. Talked about this earlier in the show. NXT Tag Team Division is stacked. Now, Flobito, I'll be the first one to admit this. Not the biggest fan of tag team wrestling. People say, why? How can you say this? I'm not saying I hate it. I'm saying when it comes to divisions on wrestling, tag team wrestling is very easy to look at the formula. For a long time, I shunned my way at it. But I said to this, it's almost like dark chocolate. I don't eat dark chocolate until one day I did. And even though I watch other promotions that have boasted cool tag team divisions, I've always felt like it was done at me, not to engage me. Enter NXT UK. And it's a brand I love. It's a brand I advocate for. But this tag team division gives me enough of what I want in introducing me to new concepts I never gave the chance to. Like, guys, I'm a big Smith and Carter fan. Ready and forward. Always ready, always forward. I'm all about that. But even groups like La Familia, that you have yourself a bona fide complementary unit, or in Gallus, bona fide complementary unit, or the Misfits kind of thing, like in Jack Stars and Dave Mastiff, or Shaw Samuels and Noam Dar. And we talked about Pretty Deadly a minute ago. NXT UK has found a way to act as an on-ramp for me to understand a form of wrestling I somehow shunned personally. And I'm okay with saying that. As wrestling fans, you should always be okay with saying, I like this kind over that kind. And for a long time, I said, okay, tag team wrestling is this, that, hot tag, and then clearinghouse and win. But the NXT UK Tag Team Division is a whole another level. And I'm not even talking about the teams that aren't even active, like Subculture. That's a whole other unit altogether. So thank you so much. I'm thankful for NXT UK for making sure that, hey, Flobo, stop being that old grump. Stop being that wuss. And go back and love the true sport of wrestling. This is why I love that brand so much, man. Things I wouldn't even give credit to, like British Rounds Wrestling or even slapping in matches that hard. NXT UK finds a way to make the whimsical seem real. And that's why I love it so much. Number 3 on this week's list. Number 2, whether you like your boy Grayson or you hate your boy Grayson, let's talk about how Grayson Waller is truly doing the Waller effect. Before I get into that, let's look at some of the chat here. Flap right there, Mr. Stone. William Regal's going to be daddy. That'd be kind of cool if William Regal was daddy. Because then, you got Charlie Dempsey, his actual son over there in UK, just blech, Charlene, I just talked about Toni Storm a little earlier. I said it's up to her to make her moves happen. That's best for her. You know what I mean? She was in the system for a long time, and I hope she does well. And Flap says, yes, right. I look terrible in a suit. I have a job where I have to wear a suit at DJ Flobito, but when I do wear a suit, I'm pretty bad. But Robert still makes it look good. And Will 5 Stud says, I noticed nothing to do with NXT, but I did watch AEW last night. I do not like Adam Cole's new theme song. I'm actually a fan of it. I'm a fan of it. I think that All About the Boom is one of his best. Undisputed Era is the best overall, but All About the Boom is something that you'll just say in the car. It becomes a movement. So back to Grayson Waller. Dylan Matthews, agree. Grayson Waller will be the breakout star of 2022. Yeah, Grayson Waller. Because if you think about it, it's the first ever NXT 2.0 storyline that crossed over to the main roster. Yeah, we had Matt Riddle coming down. We had AJ Styles coming down. But Grayson Waller went to Monday Night Raw. And I'm sure there's a skeptic there that's going to say, well, Raw needed the ratings. It was an off week, and they were shorthanded in staff. I go, no. but they gave the ball to Grayson Waller. And whether or not you think Grayson Waller's will start today, the fact AJ Styles feels deemed important enough to address means a lot for both guys. Again, AJ Styles looked like the weak guy in a team with Omos, which is true inside the world of Raw, but any wrestling fan in 2015 or 16 wouldn't believe that. So AJ Styles needs this. Grayson Waller, annoying as he is, needs this too. The match is not official. At New Year's Eve, AJ Styles will appear to confront Waller, but this is important for both guys. I think this is pretty awesome, and WWE is really giving him the ball to try it. Let's hope he does not drop the ball, because I go back to dropping balls. I think of Ryback, think of Mason Ryan, I think of Billy Gunn circa 1999. Not saying that's going to happen to Grayson, but no one can say no one gave him a chance or no one gave him airtime. They're giving him the airtime. So can he make the most of that? Can he be as annoying as that? Dylan continues. Waller could be promoted to Raw right now. Wouldn't look out of place. He would. Waller has the size. The only thing that's kind of interesting is that there's sometimes, not all the times, there's sometimes where he plays a bad note, where he feels like he's playing a character a little bit, especially now he's going to do the drip thing too. But I think with a little bit more time, he'll be hand to glove. And Charlene continues. AEW seems more like NXT 2.0 with them getting a good portion of the roster that mattered. When it comes to rosters, I don't want to knock AEW. I don't want to pump up NXT 2.0 because you guys both know that, and all the viewers of Draped in Gold know that I had my difficulties adjusting to 2.0. It isn't the name of the roster. It's how they're used, right? There was a time when Shinsuke Nakamura, Cesaro, and Sami Zayn were in a tag team. We were like, boring. It just comes down to how they're used and how they're packaged. You can do a lot with little. This is why, as a fan, I always love C shows like WWECW or Velocity, because it didn't matter about the name, the brand names, of how they were used. So I agree with you on that point. I'm not knocking AEW. I will sign these individuals too. Bobby Fish is my favorite Undisputed Era wrestler. Kyle O'Reilly is great. Adam Cole's great. Bryan Danielson's great. Everyone's great, but it comes down to how they're used. And that's the most important thing. What up, Bobo? We got one more for you. Top moment for me this week. Walter? Now we haven't seen this guy since losing the NXT UK Championship to Ilya Dragunov, but he'll be back at New Year's Evil in a 6-man tag. Imperium is back together against the Shaman, Matt Riddle, MSK, in a 6-man tag team match play. This is huge. Huge. MSK needs a little bit of a restart since losing titles. Matt Riddle is someone, get a little bit more street cred coming back down to NXT. Everyone in the independent scene has seen the Matt Riddle-Walter matches. I am not sure how they're going to play this year, but those who have know what is going to happen at New Year's Evil. And of course, Imperium needs their leader. Imperium, yes, they did. Yes, I said Walter, or Ring General. Yes. It's going to be interesting. If you have not seen Riddle versus Walter all over the independent circuit, please do. That is a clash of styles if ever was one. I hope we get a little bit or a lot of bit of them one-on-one in exchange. I don't think it's going to be a clean finish. I think there's going to be some tag teams involved, maybe GYV in there as well. Even though Imperium has teased expanding, that was 6 months ago, which was a long, long time in wrestling. So maybe it might be a case at all. But Walter's back after losing the NXT United Kingdom Championship. So, I respect him. Yeah, sure, whatever. I always do. Don't tell Jack that. Flap, yes, New Year's Evil. Next Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern on USA Network. Next day on the Peacock app. Walter returns with Imperium. Imperium is going to be back together. It'd be a cool thing to see the full entrance. I hope they get the full entrance. I hope they get the whole thing, instead of this being like, oh, they're going to come out during this picture-in-picture break. Don't do this to me, NXT. Make sure I can do it. That does it for me in the top 10. Also think that Braun Breaker is going to win the title New Year's Evil next Tuesday. So that's going to be kind of fun to see that actually happen, to see him crowned. Not sure what Ciampa is going to do after this. I don't know. Dylan Matthews says, GYV joining Imperium is needed for GYV. Yeah, I was never as hostile as my broadcast colleague Jack Farmer was about them being all silly, but it is kind of weird. Zach Gibson was as hated as Walter was. I remember NXT UK, people took off their shoes and had chants for the guy. And now they're calling their nanas. It's like, it seems such an opposite of who they are that if nothing happens for them soon, They made me on that chopping block. Just saying, okay. Yeah, Jack has a whole essay on it. Jack has an essay about a lot of things. He talks a lot. I mean, that's why I just say, hey, Jack, just go. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, shout out to Jack Farmer driving back from the Pacific Northwest after being snowed in with his parents for a week and a half. He'll be back next week, hopefully. I have no idea. That does it for me. This is Draped in Gold, the award-winning NXT and NXT UK recap and discussion show. Thank you so much for rocking with me. I know it's a holiday week. I know you guys come here for Jack and Jack alone, but I appreciate you guys on the chat. I see the numbers. I appreciate every single one of you. Happy New Year. Hope you get what you want. New Year's Day is my favorite holiday, and my favorite holiday I'm going to celebrate by watching WWE Day 1. Probably the Wrestle Kingdom after that. As for me, personally, I have another show. It's a Star Trek show. It's called Commander's Log. I'm going to get ready for that right here on this YouTube channel, youtube.com/Flobo Boyce. That does it for me. Happy New Year, everybody. And I hope you guys get what you want. And make some resolutions. They're good for you.